Oh, didn't mean to start going, but what's up guys, Sio here with the first episode of Korosu World, and the last time we took on Ula Lake, and this time we are taking on Fort Nexus. Meant to have a little bit more of an intro than that, but that's okay. Hopefully this retry prompt just takes me to right here. Yes, okay, so, I'm actually going to already take a second to pause, as I know it's only 20 seconds into the video. Thank you again, Chris, for including this quick retry prompt. If you have to go back to the overworld in Super Mario World from a death in a castle, basically you would have to hear that entire chime, go back to the overworld, reselect the castle, go through the cutscene of you like opening the door and going in. It basically takes about 10 seconds for every single life, so you can see that just getting to restart this like this is a lot faster. Okay, so it's a shallow jump, and then trying to jump off of one of those moving blocks again, like from level 1. I'm basically going to want it to be at the edge of maybe like a tile away from the edge, and then I can fall onto it, jump up onto the ceiling above the retry prompt, and then fall down onto the extendy platform. Okay, so no matter what I do, it's not a full bounce because the thwomp falls too fast if I do a full bounce. So jumping from like right there, I seem to always catch the thwomp at least, and then from off of it, it looks like it's a full bounce. I need to keep remembering that I need to wait once I get up there. So I have to catch myself, stop, wait for that thing to fly a little bit, and then be good to go. I need to hit my head a little bit farther back than I have been. Okay. Huh. I don't think I got the right cycle on that. I should probably catch it on its way out, so I actually have enough time to get up. And we don't assume there's a Kaizo block on that, on the way up. Okay, so I need to catch it on its way out. Spin jump, spin jump. There was a coin block. It was a little bit higher up than I thought it was going to be, though. I guess it's just because the platform was a little bit higher up than I thought it was going to be, but either way, that's a pretty weird jump. With how vertical it is, that might actually need to be a regular jump up. I'll try a regular jump next time, actually, I think. On the bright side, my visual cue for this first jump seems to be a little bit better if I just jump from inside that pillar, and then basically do a full hop off of the thwomp. And by the pillar, I mean the spotted pillar in the background. I basically just do like an 80% hop, and then I hit my head on the ceiling, basically where I need to. I'm going to transition to a regular jump here. It's an annoying coin block to avoid. Okay, what is next? Nope, I should have got that. Okay, so it's gonna be saw riding. I did not jump. I guess it didn't really occur to me that I was in a narrow passage where I probably shouldn't jump until I got to the very end. Luckily the last couple levels have gotten me a little bit more experience at saw bouncing, because I used to be terrified of stuff like this, but I think I can actually do this now. Okay, so as long as I aim all the way to the left, right here, and then hold right, I should be okay. Didn't spin jump at all that time, kind of just ran off the edge, but gained a little bit of information that it doesn't seem to be that long of a saw bounce, at least. Screen scroll there actually messed me up, so if I just hold right and run from that tunnel and then get the P-speed, the saw is just going to be in the corner, which is nice. I'm used to these things being like slightly away from the corner by the time I actually get there, but that time it was actually just all the way tucked up. Alright, so updated visual cues time. These first jumps are like 80% jumps off of the thwomp, and then from the pillar of the background. Here you basically want to fall as this thing's going out, and then as it's running back in, you want to swing around the Kaizo block that's right there. If you end up falling down onto this thing as it's extending outwards, you actually have a decent amount of time on it, but you kind of just got to go for it and know when you're going to be able to fall. So you go now, jump, and then run around the Kaizo block. I still haven't actually made it onto the saw yet, but that's more information than I've gotten, so cool. So it looks like I'm basically going to have to time the saw bounce out of here before I get shot in the face by these bullet bills. If you don't know, spin jumping off of bullet bills basically just makes it so you just pretty much fall through them. So I guess if I really wanted to and I didn't feel confident in the spin bounce, I could probably kill the bullet bills, bounce back over, and then get another shot at the jump. But it's probably just going to be easier for me to just ride the saw, probably bounce off of it like 4 or 5 times, and then on the 5th bounce just like bounce up into this little cave right here, which does have a spike, so I can't do it too early. But you can tell with my updated visual cues that at least getting to here is proving to be a little bit more consistent than it was before. Kaiser block's still a dick, but whatever. Okay, so proof of theory concept worked. I was actually able to just jump over the bullet bills if I needed to. Probably could have caught the saw if I would have had like a perfect spin bounce off of it, but would have been tricky anyway. It doesn't seem like there was a Kaizo block where I jumped, but that does not mean that there's not a Kaizo block on this jump, so I still got to be careful for that. And then when I land up here, I'm going to have to watch out for that brown spike on the ceiling that's going to fall at me. And then I'm going to have to probably bounce off of these bullet bills a couple of times to clear this lava gap, I would imagine. Okay, so I was right that it was 5 bounces actually, which is kind of cool. So I should just be able to bounce off this first one. Okay. So I gotta be careful of the little ceiling dip right there, which is the reason why I kind of took that first bounce a little bit more cautiously than I probably should have. But I have to figure out where to bounce off the first one to basically just hold right and then go to the second one, and then obviously bounce off of the third one and then hopefully land on ground. I don't actually know how far I'm gonna have to ride these bullet bills, but I would imagine pretty much as far as I can. Okay. So back here again. Oh, those fired a lot faster than the last time. So I guess I should probably be a little bit more careful of triggering that. Okay, so be careful. Oh, I can just trigger from here. Okay. So we're gonna fire, and I should be able to do a full bounce. Okay, I didn't really have enough time to think about that, but I'm just basically going to have to land on that one tile of freedom right there, and then quickly do 2 Goomba bounces over. Interesting, because I was wondering if the triple bullet bill bounce might have been a little bit too simple, even though all of those jumps were like 80% jumps that weren't like just holding down the jump button all the way. Which kind of seems to be a theme of this level, which is interesting. Like, I'm pretty safe to do a lot of these jumps, obviously. Not that last one that killed me, but I'm safe to do a lot of these jumps as long as I don't hold down jump the entire way. I didn't mean to do that, but I guess that's a proof of concept that you can just hop over those bullet bills if you need to and catch it on the way back. Backup strats are nice too. So these bullet bill timers must be on a global timer, because it seems like they're not firing that consistently. I forgot to screen scroll, but I'm beginning to think it may not work anyway because of how long the bullet bill bounce is, so I'm just going to try to learn it on the first cycle. It's going to be harder, but well, that works too, I guess. So I guess that was a proof of concept, kind of like I was talking about on the first time when I got to that section, where you just kind of spin bounce and like poof away a bullet bill and just kind of keep falling through it. So I guess if you need to, you can just spin jump through the bullet bills and then bounce off of it again anyway. It is a generator, so I guess you don't really need to worry about killing them too early. Okay, so as long as I do a shallow bounce off of the first one, I'm pretty good to make the rest of them, it seems. That one tile landing is not my favorite, but I will try to figure it out, I guess. Okay, so good news is it looks like could be a possible checkpoint soon. Could also just be pipe landing, I guess, but normally when there's a pipe in this game it means that I'm being taken to a checkpoint or another area. Okay, so bad news is it doesn't look like that's the end of the level from there, because it looks like I'm going to have to probably do a saw bounce or something off of that dotted line. The dotted lines in the castles mean that it's a track, and normally in castles when stuff's on track it's a saw. I can't really think of too many other things it could even really be. It's probably not a platform. They don't, or Kaizo hacks typically don't really enjoy using safe platforms just to ride around. That feels so awkward when you do the spin jump off of the bullet bill too. Oh shit, okay. So what's next? Couple saw bounces. So I'm gonna pause this for a second so I can think. So I'm basically gonna have to do 2 little bounces and then probably like 3 little bounces. So I'm gonna catch it basically as it's on its way down and then back over to the right. And then on its way up, I'm gonna have to spin jump through this pipe thing. Okay, so lesson learned, I can't just ride that thing up because the saw's hitbox rises faster than mine. I also don't think I'm gonna get another chance to ride this saw that's over to the right, so I'm gonna have to hurry. This level's pretty intense. I like it, but I definitely thought I was going to be a little closer to the checkpoint there. I don't know why I did, I guess. My own expectations got the better of me there, I guess. Because that is pretty early into a level now that I think about it. Damn it. Okay. So I gotta be careful about that second Gunga bounce, because I got a little lucky there the first time, and it is another, like, 80% jump. I should have probably figured the theme of this level seems to be jumps that aren't, like, full jumps. I've noticed that every level has kind of had a pretty, like, specific theme like that, and I think that's this one. Alright, so I guess it's been a while since I've done a run-through with my visual cues. I already talked about these visual cues, so I'll try to just set up this saw bounce up here. So I'm actually going to go ahead and leave it on the screen because the windows in the background are kind of where I want them to be at now. When you hop up into this tunnel, the saw starts to spawn basically in the middle of the window in the background that's off to the far right. So once you reach that point, you can kind of just get P-speed until the end of the platform and then do a spin bounce off of it, and it'll always be in the same position. From there, I've noticed that the bullet bill timers seem to be a little inconsistent, and I think it's because they may spawn on a global timer, which basically just means that, like, every 2 or 3 seconds of, like, real life, including after, like, resets and stuff, they'll fire. So sometimes they'll end up firing a little bit earlier than you mean for them to, and then sometimes they just, like, won't fire at all. I've noticed that I've basically gotten this part pretty consistent, but the bullet bills are always a little interesting to deal with on every life. See, like that time they didn't even fire at all. Sometimes I'll have to like spin bounce off of them and stuff. These are like 80% jumps, so you don't hit your head on the ceiling, land here, you can hit your head here, and then that's like another 80% bounce. And then I actually almost made it for the first time, which is kind of cool. So as long as you kind of do like very little bounces right there, you can make it up there in 3. I may want to wait for the saw to be slightly higher just so I can get a little bit more clearance now that I know that I'm not trying to beat this saw that's now underneath me. I thought I was going to have to like catch it on the first cycle and bounce up somewhere, but this just looks like it's going to be a couple of quick bounces onto that little cement or concrete block, and then I'll have to figure out what to do after that. I would have to imagine that there's checkpoints sort of soon after that, though, because this level is kind of demanding. It's really, really fun, but just based on the spacing of the previous checkpoints in this game, and like I was kind of talking about there, you can see that they fired at me that time. So the bullet bill timers kind of just do their own fucking thing compared to everything else in this level. So I'll be right back, I guess. That was probably the most unimpressive jump of all time. Oh, okay. Hello, new Kaizo block that I apparently only get to see when I'm actually doing the bullet bill bounce the exact way I'm supposed to. I guess I'm glad I didn't hit that on any of my other attempts, but I am a little annoyed that setting up that bullet bill bounce perfectly means that you just get Kaizo blocked. Okay. So, little. Okay, what's next? So spin bounce off of here, and then I'm gonna have to jump underneath the piranha, and then spin bounce up to the rest. By the way, sorry, that caught me off guard. This is the first time I've heard this part of the track in a while, because this is the first time I've been alive for it. So I assume that I just basically spin bounce on its way out. Made it, but then ran too far. I wonder actually if it's just easier for me to spin jump off of the concrete block and then go from there instead of trying to loop around the piranha plant again. Probably not, because of how tight of a jump that is. Gotta imagine there's a checkpoint though, and I'm getting pretty excited because I feel like this level has been really fun to play, and I feel like I'm actually getting somewhat consistent at it. This is the first time I've been able to like really talk and play Kaizo in a while. I have no idea why the bullet bills did not launch at all that time, but thank you for that, because literally saved my life. Alright, so... Alright. Actual progress, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this spin bounce off of this guy, so I'm going to have to catch him on as he jumps out and then loop back around. So he jumps all the way up to the top of the spikes, and then I have enough clearance that I could basically do a full bounce off of him, I think, by the time I get under. Okay. Okay, what's next? So, thwomp bounce onto that, dodging the brown spike, bouncing off of magic through that gap. That is a tight jump. And then I gotta be careful of that dry beetle, I think its name is. I'm gonna scroll the screen back and hopefully get it back. By the way, I forgot how dope the castle track is in this game. I haven't gotten this far in a while, so... what do you want me to... Do you want me to dodge the spike, or do you want me to jump off of it? Because jumping off of that spike would be pretty demanding at this point in the level. I have to imagine it's just dodge spike, jump onto magic, jump through there, and then there has to be a checkpoint after that. I would be absolutely floored if he had me do anything else after that, because this is This is a pretty long castle, actually. I really like it, but how did I break the middle one, get back onto the saw, and then kill myself on the spike? That is that is an impressive death, if I do say so for myself. Well, that one just didn't even seem fair. Alright, and now I need to wait for this muncher, or piranha plant, sorry, to be up in the air before I try to jump after this. I need to basically just loop around him and do a full spin jump. I need to be careful jumping out of here, though, because obviously this spike above me is pretty tight. So I'm going to wait for him to ascend. God damn it. I was worried about that, but there was nothing I could really do but just kind of hope that I could clear it. I don't know why that made me laugh so hard, but at least I got 800 points out of it. Okay, finally, after 2 fucking hours, I'm back here again. I'm just gonna try to go this time, because I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. Oh, come on, seriously? No checkpoint yet? Is there at least... Oh god, this level. Okay, come on. How do I get you to go back over? Because I need you to be, like, way over there. Okay, so I was really hoping there was going to be a checkpoint here soon. But I think what I'm just going to have to do, I'm going to need to take another look at this. I'm going to have to drop down, quickly bounce off of the dry bones, and then bounce underneath. Am I trying to go into this pipe, or is there's more after it, right? Okay. Let's get him back into the position he needs to be in, and just go for it. God damn it! So I need to bounce off that Goomba and then land on that ground. I'm gonna stop saying I hope there's a checkpoint after and hope to just get there again. Bright side is the magic part looks like it's just hold right, which is nice. The bad news is I have to get back there again. It literally took me an hour and a half to get back there again after I got it the first time, so here's hoping that just means I'm consistent and can get it back there again, but I'm a little nervous. I definitely thought there was going to be a checkpoint after all that. God damn it! Ah. No, I didn't know you didn't kill those guys. Okay, so that one was kind of on me, I guess, because I was just trying to spin jump and kill that guy and then get a little bit of time. Unfortunately for me, I kind of just messed that up a little bit. I've been trying not to talk because I've just been focusing this entire time, but I feel like I actually need to explain what I was doing there. First off, this is the first time I've been here in like 3 hours, so I kind of forgot what the part looked like, if I'm being perfectly honest. I was trying to screen scroll to basically see how far the dry bones was actually walking. There's basically 7 spikes on the bottom, so I actually have to cover a pretty decent amount of ground. It looks like I have enough clearance to basically just jump on him when he's around spike 3, and I should be able to clear the gap. And basically I have to run after that, line up a jump with a Goomba, clear the gap, and then there's something after that. I don't know what it is, but there's something after that. So basically what I was trying to do is something that I was trying to do in Uma Lake, and basically screen scroll to reset everything and then figure out the positioning for next life. Unfortunately, I didn't know that I needed to jump back up this little like cliff thing to be able to actually like fully reset him, because he was still in the position he was before, and the dry bones ended up on like Muncher 1 or something. So I tried to bail on the jump and come back, but I unfortunately wasn't able to. So here's hoping I can get back there again. The good part is the thwomp part, knock on wood, seems to be somewhat consistent before this, as long as you actually land on the thwomp, which is easier said than done, because you kind of have to like not hold all the way right when you're jumping off the edge of the cliff, but then hold right basically as you bounce off the thwomp onto the magic and then through the gap. It looks like a really tight jump and it feels like a really tight jump, but it also kind of feels like if you have that right setup, you make it most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time. I still need to figure out this hopefully last jump, but I feel like I'm making a little bit of progress at least. Alright, so now that I'm a little warmed up again, I'm going to try to do a run through of this level explaining my visual cues, hopefully. As the microphone falls onto me. So the beginning part of this level is a shallow spin jump, basically off the left side of that guy through that gap. Wait for the falling block to go, wait for these things to extend, and dodge the Kaizo block that's already right there. Wait for this to bounce off the left wall, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The bullet bill pattern is a little bit different based on when you spawn in the bullet bills. They also have a global timer. This second Goomba jump is ass. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that now, because this has by far been like the greatest like sticking point in this level for me. And I wasn't really expecting that when I got to that part, because it doesn't really seem like it should be that bad. But after all of those bullet bill bounces and landing on like the one tile of clearance that you have for right there, you basically have to make sure that you hit your head. I'll explain it again as I'm going through here, but you basically have to make sure you hit your head on the right side of this and then do a bounce off of that guy. But you can't bounce too high because there's spikes, and you can't bounce not at all because it requires like a pixel perfect jump off of that guy to be able to make it onto the pipe. In like the 3.5 hours of practice or so I've had on this level, I've only done it without bouncing off of him once. So I'm willing to say that that is not a consistent strategy, so you do have to jump off of him. The problem is that you can't do a full hop off of him, but you have to do a full hop to get over to him. So it's like a really, really, really specific jump that you wouldn't really expect from this jump, I guess. Because see, like, I'm hitting jump off of this, and it's just not jumping high enough. Because you can't just hold down jump, otherwise you're going to basically just bounce off at the wrong time. Then the part after that is the saw bounce, where you basically just have to wait for the saw to be going down and then spin bounce off of it either 4 or 5 times, depending on when it's actually like going back up again. I'll see when I get there, but oh yeah, there's also that Kaizo block, which forces you to do a turn back on the bullet bill launch. The turn back actually isn't really that bad, to be honest, because you kind of have to do a little bit of a turn back to keep yourself safe from the spikes anyway. But I have a pretty consistent visual cue for that once I get back there, I guess. You can see even with 3.5 hours of practice in this level, basically every jump in this level is difficult, and there are many of them you have to chain together. I personally feel like this level is probably an obstacle or two too long before the checkpoint. Like every obstacle in this level is fun, so I don't really mind going at it, but it just kind of seems like a lot to chain together given how the rest of the game's gone so far. Okay, so from here you basically spin jump, and then as it's on its way up, you do a full jump. Here you do a little bounce and just bounce onto here. Here is a very, very tight jump where you basically just have to hold onto spin jump for as little as possible, land onto the pipe, and then spin jump off the piranha plant. Here you basically want to go to the far right to spawn this thing, do a little bounce, squeeze through there, and then land in between the spike and the dry beetle. The dry beetle basically turns itself into a spike by the time you get there, so it's basically just like a moving spike that you have to worry about. Killing it after isn't really quite as difficult, I guess, but it's definitely a high pressure situation because the jump before it is pretty tight. Okay, now that I'm back here, I'm going to try to use the visual cue that I set up for myself last time, where I screen scroll left twice. Before I get to the cool part of the song, I'm going to go ahead and explain what I want to do here. Basically, this pauses the Drybone, Thwomp, and Goomba that are coming up into their respective positionings. What I'm going to try to do, and hopefully it's going to work, is I'm going to bounce off of the Drybone. I can actually go ahead and explain this visually too. I'm going to bounce off the Drybone that you can see is currently on like spike number 5 right there. I'm going to bounce off of him onto the pipe. I'm going to run off of the pipe, which sounds a little weird, but it seems like that was a little bit better of positioning than just trying to go for it. And then I'm going to try to land on the ground to the right, and hopefully that'll be the checkpoint. I have no idea if it's going to be, because I've never been there before, but I'm really hoping it is. Nope, that didn't work. I thought the Thwomp was a little bit farther away than that, so I tried to keep a little bit more air than I needed to, apparently. If I hurry up and get through this part with the screen scrolls that I'm at, the Goomba's actually pretty solidly on spike 3 by the time I jump off the pipe and land on the Goomba again. And I should just be able to carry that over. So I'm pretty close to the end, but not gonna lie, after 4 hours I kinda just want to be done. That was by far one of the stupidest ways I've died in this level. I was trying to read that guy on turning into a spike so I could just go and jump onto him, and for some reason I didn't just wait. No! Oh, it's right there. All I had to do was move right. All I had to do was not stand on the edge. All I had to do was go into the door, read it quickly, and be safe. And instead I died to a thwimp. I landed on the sub-pixel I needed to be able to dodge the Thwomp, scroll the screen back, jump off the Thwomp okay. And instead I died to the Thwomp jumping on me. shit, I lost my ride. Okay, so screen scrolling only works if the stupid Goomba does not die by falling off the edge. I thought screen scroll worked even if it fell off the edge. This jump literally should not have a spike here. I don't know why it does. It makes it way harder than it needs to be. The point of this jump being tough is that you have to do this shallow jump onto the one landing, not then do a fucking 2-tile high spin jump onto a pipe after that and then still have more to do. If it sounds like I'm salty at this point, it's because I am, because I've been here 4.5 hours and have now officially reached the point of all these deaths being my fault, but I'm just going to go ahead and be mad at this level design because I want to be. That's a new one. This is probably the most irritated I've been in a while playing Super Mario World. It's probably a sign I should stop playing, but I feel like I'm basically at the end of the level already. And I don't want to have to go through the extra half hour of me de-rusting to get to the point of me being able to actually get to the end of the level. But this level specifically just seems like it has a lot of level design that brings this from like a Kaizo light to more of here's what harder Kaizo stuff normally is. I'm not personally a big fan of one-tile jumps, especially ones that you have to chain together, especially ones that aren't like free ones that you chain together. I don't understand this buzzsaw thing at all. Sometimes I get it on the 5th bounce like I'm supposed to, sometimes the buzzsaw just kills me because this hitbox is fucking stupid. I like the level design, and when it goes right, this level flows really well, but there is just so much that can go wrong on every single life, from the randomness of the buzzsaw's hitboxes to if these bullet bills are actually going to fire, to if I actually get to jump off of the Goomba at the end to the way I'm supposed to with my screen scrolling stuff, because I don't really know how you're supposed to do it without screen scrolling, because the dry bones just kind of sits there for forever. I don't know. Like, I feel like I was good enough to beat this level like 2 hours ago, and now it's just me grinding through hoping that I can get everything to line up again. I was pretty optimistic about my chances to be able to speedrun this game, but I have pretty full faith that this level will take me like at least an hour in a speedrun, which instantly makes me not really want to do it as much. I probably will, mainly because my consistency has at least seemed to improve in 4 hours. Like, I used to not be able to even get to this part consistently. Now most of my lives at least end at that jump, because that Goomba jump is just stupid. You have to land on the right part of the ceiling before it, hold the jump button for a right amount of time, and then land on a pipe, and then set up your next jump. It's very easy to undershoot and overshoot this jump, because you kind of don't really want to hop at all, but you need to hop at least a little bit, or you're not going to actually get the clearance for the pipe. I've probably said this a million times, and I'm probably just going to edit this out, but I need to talk, because just sitting here in silence being frustrated about me dying over and over again 4.5 hours into the level is driving me a little crazy. Come on. No! That was what I was supposed to do, and I just didn't do it right. Okay. I guess that explains why the Goomba didn't respawn that one time, because it fell into the lava, which is different than falling into a pit, because the lava actually kills the enemy.
Oh. You can't use them after that?
No. So, I'm almost there. It's a very, very long
Like,
level.
it's different than if it had the spikies or,
Yeah.
like, anything else.
Yeah, so the last time, or not the time I just got there, but the time before that, I was, like, alive on the little pipe thing that I was trying to jump off of, and the guy that I was supposed to jump off of fell off the cliff, and I thought he just fell into a big pit at the bottom, which would have meant that I could, like, bring him back if I just moved the screen back and forth or whatever. But I wasn't able to do that because he fell into lava, which is different, and I don't know why I forgot that there was lava at the bottom of the stage, because there's been lava at the bottom of the stage every other time too. No, there's a Kaizo block there, god damn it. By the way, shoutouts to 90s kids somehow becoming millennials.
Right? That, like, pisses me off. But I guess it's because we were kids when the millennium was happening, I guess.
Yeah. Yes! Is this it? Please be it, please be it, please be it, please be it. Yes, it's it! Thank God. Ah, 6 hours later. Okay, we're gonna find out what's in the store next time, because fuck this.